Hi, I'm good. So I'm interviewing for a senior data scientist role, and I want you to assume the role of the interviewer. Let's assume that you're the CTO of that organization, and you're hiring for a senior data scientist role. I want you to ask me five technical questions around the senior data scientist role, and I want you to evaluate the responses that I give you, and then make a decision on whether you want to hire me or not. Don't let me know the decision just yet. Let's go ahead with the interview first. Ask me the five questions that you have to ask me. No programming related questions because I don't have an ID at the moment. Just technical questions that someone would ask a senior data scientist. And once you're done with the five questions, you'll thank me for my time and tell me that HR will get back to me with the feedback. Post that, once that conversation is ended, I will then ask you for what you think about how the interview went and also critique me and guide me on how I can do better on the answers that I gave you. Right? Does that make sense to you? Can we start?
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. Let's dive right in. Question 1. Can you describe a complex machine learning project you led, the challenges you faced, and how you overcame them? Question 2. How do you ensure your data pipelines are scalable and maintainable, especially when dealing with large data sets? Question 3. Can you explain a situation where you had to choose between different machine learning models? What criteria did you use to make that decision? Question 4. How do you handle data quality issues and ensure the data you're working with is reliable? Question 5. How do you stay updated with the latest developments in data science? And can you share any recent learning that you've applied in your work? Thank you for your time today. HR will get back to you with feedback soon.
No, you have to ask me a question and then wait for me to respond. And then you have to make a note of the response. And at the end of the interview, when I'm done giving the response for the fifth question, that's when you will tell me that HR will get back to me with the feedback. And that's where the interview will stop. Post that, I will ask you for the feedback that you have for me, but that would be after the interview has ended. Right, so can we begin now?
Got it. Let's begin. Question 1. Can you describe a complex machine learning project you led, the challenges you faced, and how you overcame them?
One of the most complex machine learning projects that I've led is working on an image processing solution. So it was a segmentation problem, basically related to computer vision, where we had roads and we had to we had to draw lane lines on the road, and we had to train a machine learning model, a deep learning model, to be able to do that. So our choice of the machine learning model was, of course, UNet, where we first used labeled data sets that already had the lane lines transcribed on the images, and then we trained the machine learning model to recognize those lane lines, and then the machine learning model, once it was trained, it would recommend the lane lines for us, and we were able to physically draw them, and then we had some human intervention to validate whether the drawn lane lines were drawn correctly or not. So the challenges that we faced with this project was, of course, the size of the data. So because the size of the data wasn't huge, we had to do a lot of data augmentation to also augment the data set and include some image transformations, albumentations, etc., to ensure that the data set was that we had enough data to train the machine learning model. And then to approve the accuracy, we had to do a lot of hyperparameter tuning, right? Playing around with the learning rate of the algorithm, the hidden layers, and so on. So that was one of the most complex projects that I've worked on.
That sounds like an interesting and challenging project. Now let's move on to the next question. Question 2. How do you ensure your data pipelines are scalable and maintainable, especially when dealing with large data sets?
So to make the data pipelines scalable, this now boils down to a data engineering problem where we are preparing the data for training the machine learning model. What we essentially do is that first is, of course, it is important to do the feature extraction across the data sets, and for that you do your exploratory data analysis and then split the data sets. You can split it according to features, or you can prepare the training data from multiple buckets, maybe in a storage in AWS and so on. And then you can incrementally train the machine learning models on various features. So you train it on the first set of features, and then you transfer learn it on the next set of features, and so on. At each step, once as you train the machine learning model, you also ensure that you improve the accuracy of the model while transfer learning it on the new features, or retraining it on the new features, or even preparing a new model for the features. And in terms of serving this model, we can use an engine like Kubernetes on some good sized machines with GPUs, and then for the API inference also we can use Kubernetes to scale up and scale down based on the number of requests to the machine learning model. So I think that is how we can handle for scale. It's a combination of data engineering and data science.
Great approach. Let's proceed to the next question. Question 3. Can you explain a situation where you had to choose between different machine learning models? What criteria did you use to make that decision?
So let's go back to the problem that I mentioned in the beginning, the problem for training the image, the computer vision problem to transcribe lanes on the road. So our choice of machine learning model was between UNet and ENet. So these were the two segmentation models that we evaluated, and after going through a few iterations of using ENet and UNet, we felt that UNet was it was giving us more accurate results on certain kinds of roads, like for example a very wide highways with lots of lanes. UNet was doing better on understanding the lanes there, and especially in terms of intersections. Whenever the road was reaching an intersection, we saw that the accuracy of UNet was better. Of course, having done going through the motions of tuning hyperparameters, etc., we noticed at that point of time that UNet was performing better and the inference time was better than ENet, only slightly. So we went with the solution that gave us better accuracy, and also in terms of inference, it was taking lesser time than the other model. So that's how we evaluated that particular model, UNet.
That makes sense. Now on to the next question. Question 4. How do you handle data quality issues and ensure that data you're working with is reliable?
So for data quality, the first thing that you can do is, let's say that you have some missing values in the data set. So you can follow popular imputation techniques to add in the missing data. You can use mean, median, mode. You can use KNN to figure out values. There are several. You can even use machine learning models to figure out outliers and eliminate those, and then substitute the values that are prevalent within the data set within the expected value. So there are many ways to handle missing values. In terms of data quality, you want to ensure that if there is any duplicate data, or if there are any outliers within the data that might introduce bias into the model, it is important to eliminate those. We can also, in terms of EDA, find out, we can do hypothesis testing, like we can find out the p-value for columns and eliminate columns that don't add any value to the model. So we can follow several EDA techniques, and we can also enhance the data using PCA. So there are several things that we can do to evaluate and improve the quality of the data set.
That's a thorough approach. Now on to the final question. Question 5. How do you stay updated with the latest developments in data science? And can you share any recent learning that you've applied in your work?
So to stay updated on data science, I basically follow some blogs. So I read a lot of blogs on Medium towards data science, which is also an offshoot of Medium. I also follow data science blogs regularly on Twitter. Blue Sky is the new app on the blog, so I've joined a few forums there. Keep an eye on the conversations going on in those forums. If there's something new that's introduced, if there's a white paper that is along the lines of what I'm working on currently, I like to explore that. One recent white paper that I was exploring was the white paper for Bell Esprit, which is an agentic framework. I also started working on a solution for Bell Esprit, creating an open source solution, especially for text, the Bell Esprit approach for handling text. So yeah, those are the means that I follow to keep up with advancements in data science.
Thank you for sharing that. That concludes our interview. HR will get back to you with feedback soon. Now, how do you feel about how the interview went?
I think it went well, but I feel that over the top of my head, I was underprepared and I might have missed a few points of some of the questions. I want you to give me honest feedback and tell me how I could have answered specific questions better and what I could have added to the answers to ensure that the answers were better received than the interview went. So please give me honest feedback.
Overall, you did well. Here are a few areas where you could enhance your responses. 1. Structuring responses. Start with a brief overview of the project, then dive into the challenges and how you address them. This will make your answers more concise and impactful. 2. Highlighting specific techniques. For instance, when discussing data quality, mention specific techniques like outlier detection methods or tools you use. 3. Recent learnings. When talking about staying updated, give an example of how a recent learning influenced your work. This shows practical application of new knowledge. For next time, practicing concise and structured responses could help. You're definitely on the right track.
Thank you so much for your help. And uh, in future, I might also ask you for further questions for a senior data scientist role, especially around programming related. I hope you can help me with that.
You're welcome. I'd be happy to help with any questions you have in the future. Feel free to reach out anytime. Good luck with your preparations.